Starfield is the newest game by Bethesda and probably their most divisive so far. People seem to either really hate this game, having over-the-top fits of rage because they, for some reason, didn't expect a modern Bethesda game to be bad, or maybe Todd Howard raped their dad. I don't know. But on the other hand, you have shills. Many being paid, but a depressing amount being true believers in the Church of God Howard. I want to begin with a disclaimer. I didn't beat Starfield. I didn't even come close. I trudged through about 10 hours of this, and that's all I could take. I normally don't like talking about games that I haven't finished, but I'm making an exception here. So if I don't mention your favorite gay alien rape scene that happens like 80 hours into the game, I'm sorry. I don't think it would affect my opinion anyway. Starfield is a Bethesda game, like Fallout 4, like Skyrim, like all of them, but this time even more limited and in space. People have called this game a mix of Fallout 4 and No Man's Sky, and they're not entirely wrong. Though unlike No Man's Sky, there are loading screens separating space and planets. If you're expecting a fully open world, seamless space exploration game, this isn't for you. If you're expecting Fallout 4 in space, you might like it. I have little interest in space exploration games, personally. I heard there were 1,000 planets, and I thought that sounded fucking awful. Many people seem to be upset that you can only explore small sections of each planet, but honestly, I think that's for the better. So many of the maps are so empty and lifeless that the idea of making them even bigger is ridiculous. The game really needed some vehicles or something. You're gonna spend several minutes in between missions just walking around back and forth doing absolutely nothing.
We're the video game.
This game isn't that much bigger than other Bethesda games. Everything is just spread out a whole lot more. I'm sure this has the most land to walk across than any other Bethesda game, but it's boring and it sucks and there's nothing to see. It's just empty space. I think the gunplay is one of the few things that Bethesda has been improving slightly over the years, though it does have some issues. One of the things I noticed is that there's a system that lets you peek around corners automatically by aiming down the sights. The problem is that you need to be pointed in a very specific spot, and it just doesn't work 9 times out of 10. You can't use it reliably, so I just ended up not using it at all. Like every other Bethesda game, all the enemies are bullet sponges. The amount of damage your firearm does isn't determined by the caliber, but how high your skill level is, which I understand is a standard in most action RPGs, but I'm getting sick of it personally. I think it's kind of an archaic system. It works fine enough in a turn-based game where you kind of use your imagination, but in an action game where you're actually shooting at the enemies, it just doesn't make sense, and it's just very immersion breaking and makes shootouts very slow and boring. Obviously, I wasn't expecting Starfield to fix this issue. This is just how Bethesda games handle shooting, and there's no changing that. The boring gun sound effects, bullet sponge enemies, and complete lack of gore make the shooting in Starfield feel really boring. The ship combat is also just okay. I like the FTL style power management system, but it just controls really weird. The one standout of the ship combat is being able to board other people's ship. As has come to be expected from a Bethesda game, Starfield is incredibly buggy and it runs like shit. I have an AMD Ryzen 7 5700X and a RTX 3060. Not the best computer in the world, but pretty fast. I can play most games on high settings. Starfield runs like shit. This game has no DLSS support, and general performance for it is just bad, especially on NVIDIA cards. And one of the worst parts is I'm sure all the Bethesda fans will flock to this game and say, oh no, it runs fine. You just need the most up-to-date shit in the world to play this game that looks like something from the PS3 era, and say, oh no, you need to get mods. Let me tell you, if you need to mod a game to make it playable and enjoyable, it's a bad fucking video game, and the developers should do a better fucking job job. Bethesda fanboys are almost as bad as Nintendo fans when it comes to sucking the dick of giant corporations that do not value them as customers. Okay, so Bethesda sucks as a company, the game isn't very fun, but please at least tell me the writing is good. No, of course it's not. It's just full of modern bullshit politics and boring characters. This game's gotta have some of the most diverse and ugly NPCs I've seen in any video game. Almost everyone you'll find in this game with a name is marked essential, meaning you cannot kill them. Everyone just talks like a gay Reddit user, and the game forces you to talk like one too. There were many times where out of every dialogue option the game gave me, all of them sucked and I did not want to choose them. To progress the story of this game, you need to act like a gay Reddit retard. Though to be fair, if you actually spend $70 on this video game, you probably are one. You cannot play a heterosexual character in Starfield. It's simply impossible. So, should you buy Starfield? I think the obvious answer is no. There are much better things you can do with $70, and honestly, I don't even think you should pirate this game because it's just a waste of your time.